Good afternoon, investigators. Mike Evans from the Australian Security Academy with this week's investigation news. Now, I promised myself I would never ever do this, but things are pretty grim. So you're going to have to please get your credit card, everybody. I'm appealing for your support. It's a very humid day and cloudy on the Gold Coast. And Greg and Alex and Matt and Natalie are out there in hot surveillance vehicles doing surveillance as we speak this afternoon. So using your credit card, would you please fan the air around you just to make it cooler and show some support and sympathy for Matty, for Greg, for Alex and for Natalie, who are sweating it out on the Gold Coast today. And what more could we do to show our support for hardworking surveillance investigators in the humid on the Gold Coast? G'day, Chris. Great to see you, mate. Thanks for checking in. Hope you got a cup of coffee there, buddy. You're going to need a big one for this one. G'day, Jamie. Great to see you, buddy. Hope you're well down in Victoria and I hope fish are biting. Hello, Colin. Thanks for tuning in, mate. Always good to see your smiling face, Cole. Yeah, please say hello in the chat just so we know where you are and that you're watching today. Hi, Amber. Great to see you. Please wave your credit card to show sympathy for the surveillance investigators. We don't have any. G'day, Todd. Great to see you, mate. Thanks for checking in. You had a busy afternoon, everybody. Because all of you earlier today. Hi, Greg. Great to see you, mate. Thanks for saying good day. Everyone that's just checked in was previously watching Investigation Journey today, where this week we had the Investigations Matrix, which is highly relevant to all investigators and their work as investigators. Oh boy, there is a lot of positions vacant out there, and I don't think I'll ever get through them all. Vendor management employed another Australian Security Academy student this week, so they're looking for more investigators. Get in touch with Asher and the team at Vendor Management. Andrew Davis, he wants you in New South Wales to work for him as a factual investigator, so get in touch with Andrew, don't miss out. All right, Joy, we'll wave our credit cards. Everybody wave your credit card around for Joy too, please. So they cool it down for Joy. And hello, Evan over in South Australia. Great to see you, DJ. G'day, Craig. Thanks for checking in, mate. Oh, you registered, Craig. Craig is now registered Queensland Inquiry Agent, Licensed Private Investigator. Congratulations, Craig. That is really good, mate. I'm going to give you some balloons for that. Hang on, here they come. Casey hates this, but Craig is a private investigator in Queensland. Good on you, Craig. Excellent, mate. Brilliant. Really good to see. Oh, yes, Optus scam. Very good scam, the Optus one. And did you notice, people, how fast the scammers were in responding to it? So no sooner was it happening as a scam than the scammers were going up online trying to get you to part with your money for it. Not from Alan Manning, they weren't, but from scammers saying, here you go, you just click this link and we'll compensate you for your outage with some extra gigabytes or something. And the scammers were working really fast. And that's the important thing to understand about scammers. They've got a speed to market that's incredible. They will take advantage of it. They have things like Scammer of the Week where they work, and there's prizes for that. So they work in boiler rooms. They, like me, they rev up before they start the day. So I have loud music playing before I come on here. So I'm all revved up. I don't take drugs and I don't drink. So it's the only way I can do it. So, yeah, the scammers move really fast. Great for pointing that out. Thank you. All right, all right, it's following you, Joy. I got it. He wasn't stalking you. It's 40 degrees in Adelaide. Wow. Oh, look out. Oh, boy. Yeah, everyone's stalking. Yes, okay, all right. I'll put my lawyer's contact details for anybody that wants to take legal action against me. for what's going on in the chat here. So yeah, really fast, those scammers, and it's a business. And, you know, having some fines and being exposed is just doing business. And in Australia, low penalties, why not? They're going to do it. So be prepared for every time something like that happens, they'll jump on it straight away. I just flashed up Alan Manning. This is really important. You often hear Pat and I talking about, well, what you've got to do is you've got to read the product disclosure statement in relation to the claim. And you think, yeah, great. They might give me that in the instructions, they might not. I might be able to Google it. It might be a product disclosure statement they read 30 years ago when they first took it out. Where do you get that kind of information? Well, this is a really good source. So, Professor Alan Manning, Australian Security Academy graduate student, wrote an article this week and popped it on LinkedIn and talked about property of employees and members of golf clubs and the insured special risk policy for them. Because once upon a time, if you kept your golf clubs at the golf course, well, it's $3,000 worth of golf clubs. And if it burnt down, that was it, $3,000. But now, what he's saying is you have a buggy there as well. And where I live, there's buggies everywhere. And I think the cheapest buggies around about $13,000, and they go up to 45, maybe 50 sometimes. So if they go up in smoke at the golf club and you keep it there, are you insured for that property? And Professor Alan Manning goes deep into it. And this is really important because he is an authority on insurance and insurance policies. And if you look him up, you can find out more information totally free about insurance investigations and what he actually does. And coincidentally, one of our jobs this week, just by coincidence and nothing else, if I can find it, large loss claim specialist is wanted by EBM Insurance Risk in Melbourne. Now, this is your significant losses. This is your millions of dollars losses. So that's one of our job vacancies this week. But Professor Alan Manning, if you look at his CV, he once had a claim where the reserve put aside for it was $1,000 million. Now, it wasn't yesterday. It was the biggest of its kind back in that day. So he knows what he's talking about. If you're looking for information on product disclosure statements and the application of them. So check Professor Alan Manning out. He's an Australian security graduate student in Certificate 3 in Investigative Services, just like you. So check him out on LinkedIn or give him a Google, and he has tons of free information. Here we go. And Evan is now speaking in some kind of foreign language to try. And Joy's going over to Adelaide where it's hot because it's too cold in Melbourne. What's Claire saying? In the northern area of Melbourne, up where Claire is, it's 30 degrees. That's not bad. That's pretty. I've been up that way when it's a lot hotter than that. So nice cherry growing area up where Claire is. A lot of fruit and veggies up there too. Good on you, Claire. Thanks for the update. Yeah, all right. Okay. Well, Nathan's been very busy with PI work. Good on you, Nathan. Thanks for the update. So Alan Manning, just a little bit of a hint there for large loss claims, because that's one of our job vacancies this week. Another one of the job vacancies, M&A Investigations are looking for factual and surveillance investigators in New South Wales and in Queensland. So if you're an Australian Security Academy student and graduate, so are they. And you're a member of an industry association, they want that, and you are. So you're ahead of the game when you apply to M&A Investigations to become a surveillance officer for them. Large loss claim specialist, there it is. Factual investigator by the ProCare Group, they're after factual investigators. And Adjuster Corp on the Gold Coast is still chasing an investigator. Look, they are the greatest place to work. People, get in touch with Adjuster Corp, just like Andrew's place of work, Investigative Services Group, and Vendor Management are great places to work as well. And SureFact, and MJM, Allied Universal, and anyone else I've forgotten, because I've got to be in trouble. Okay, last weekend, getting serious. This is more serious than the credit card issue, people. This charming young lady is a member of the family that were destined to chain smoke and stare into space in South Australia at a place called Snowtown. Now, she was too young to have any involvement in what was going on with the murders of those 11 people in the Snowtown Bank, where it's known as the bodies in barrels case, where their bodies were disposed of in 44-kilogram drums of acid for a very good reason. So what she's done is she's gone out and she's left church. She's walked down the road a couple of steps. She's seen a car. She's jumped into it and driven off. Now, this is last Sunday. Now, the mother of the child that was in the back of the car immediately alerted everyone around them, and people blocked the road down further where she was heading, and she was blocked in and couldn't get out. Then the mother got there and ripped Brooke out of the car, and the police came along, and the bystanders held her there until the police arrived and arrested her. Now, what the charming Brooke said, because she comes from a family that knows how to dodge coppers, she said when she went to court, she said, "Oh, well, I was driving to the police station because someone had abandoned a baby in a car with the keys in it." She's well trained. She's very well educated. Very clever thing to say. The judge didn't buy it. That's correct. Yeah, that's correct. So the judge didn't buy that. So anyway, she's been remanded in custody. She's had, oh, sorry, I've got to switch Joyce off there for a second. What I'm doing. Brooke's been remanded in custody, not Joy. So I must point that out as Brooke. All right, up in Brisbane. Joy's in Melbourne. And she's going to have her previous bail revoked, and her case is going to be heard later on. So that is pretty out there. Now, she said, "I was taking the kid to the police station." That was her excuse. The bodies in barrels was in Snowtown in South Australia. It's north of Adelaide. They had 6 bodies that were dumped in acid there in the bank by this guy and his accomplice. Now, this is what the barrels of acid look like, just like that. Okay, and they dumped the bodies in it. Now, actually, this guy's gone to jail for 140 years, the one on the left, our left. Right. He's gone to jail for 140 years. And what they said was it was a gay hate crime for the 11 people he murdered. That's what the court and the police came out and said at the time, because the truth was so bad, it would haunt you if you knew it for the rest of your life. He was just as good at bullshitting as this educated girl. And what he was doing, yes, he murdered those people. And you'd think, yeah, lifting an 85-kilogram person with arms, legs, shirt buttons, necklaces, shoes and boots and stuff like that into one of these things is pretty awful. So you have to chop them up. And they were all chopped up. But they weren't chopped up to fit in here. They were chopped up. And they don't want you to know this. Because the guy on the right wanted to have sex with their internal body organs. That's a very sick man. 140 years, he won't see the light of day. You are watching episode number 238 of Spy Curious. People come to me and they go, you know, oh, there's these families out there, whatever, you know, they're pretty bad, and they're in these cults and stuff. I want to bust cults. Here's the family. Anne Hamilton Burns' adopted children, which were all given drugs and were going to save the universe once it became to the end of the universe. She was in a cult and she created a cult, the family. Now, Tara, who's pictured in here, murdered a transgender person who was a retail worker in a sex shop about 10 years ago. And wearing a disguise, Tara there went into the sex shop, pulled a knife, and the transgender retail assistant stuck up for themselves and did a pretty good job and got the knife off Tara. But Tara, being a well-trained occultist, pulled out a second knife and killed the retail worker with it. And now Tara's serving time in prison for it. Don't ever expect to bust cults. I deal with hardened, grizzled, seen a lot of things, police detectives. They have the utmost respect for the danger of cults, and they don't mess with you. So keep that in mind. Pretty awful. Good afternoon, everyone. Good day, Jack, down in sunny Tasmania. Yep, Michelle, it's going to be hard sleeping for the next couple of weeks now. You know that. That's out there. And it's a good reminder. If you are going to go out to a remote location by yourself as an investigator and you have a feeling about where you're going, take someone else with you for the interview. Or try and do it over the internet. Send them an iPad if they haven't got computers. Yeah, that's Anne Hamilton Burns' cult, was the family. And you can look that up. They were a Victorian cult. And detectives that have trained for us at the academy, who Pat and I are scared of, they were scared of the cults. Seriously, they're pretty bad things. Yep, massive cult, that one, mate. Anne Hamilton Burns, she died about 2 years ago. May she rot in hell. Awful, awful thing. Hope you're all enjoying yourself. Big news this week from one of our alert people watching today. PricewaterhouseCoopers have lost their auditing contract with the Westpac Bank. And it was worth 1% of PricewaterhouseCoopers' annual $3.4 billion revenue. As a result, 300 people have lost their job, and more have been given notice that they're going to lose their job at PricewaterhouseCoopers, all because one of the partners who was still on the payroll of PricewaterhouseCoopers told international companies how to dodge tax. Yeah. They were all drugs. It was all really, really awful. Yeah. So that's interesting stuff. Now, DLA Piper, who are a big law firm who are on the floor lower than PricewaterhouseCoopers, has snapped up one of the PricewaterhouseCoopers legal people. And this is what the issue is down in federal government at the moment. Are they going to stick with these big auditing firms like PricewaterhouseCoopers, Deloitte, et cetera, who are all doing the wrong thing, and the big law firms who just get funneled billions of dollars to have the admin staff do the work of a barrister and charge $11,000 a minute to do it? Those days are over. So DLA Piper and PricewaterhouseCoopers, they're really under pressure to either find other avenues of income or to straighten up their act and stop not paying tax and living off the Australian taxpayer. The Greens don't like it. The government, federal government, has softened their stance towards it. There's been a little bit of negotiation going on. Paul McNabb, who went from PricewaterhouseCoopers to DLA Piper, and then DLA Piper decided that he shouldn't be there anymore one Sunday night, and Paul was basically asked to resign, and he didn't sign a confidentiality agreement. He's gone out and started his own tax advisory service. Good on you, Paul. This DLA Piper didn't want him, but then it's okay to have someone else. Very hard to understand. But it's big government funding just thrown at Big Law and Big Four. We're keeping on going. This is yeah, that was a good one, Chris. Thanks for the heads up on that, mate. It was brilliant. They're in Melbourne, all right. Very established. That's correct, Jack. Yep. Yep. So, and they're not the people that did it. The people that did it, that did the dirty on the government and us, the taxpayer, they're still on the payroll. PricewaterhouseCoopers, and that's acceptable to the Prime Minister, to the Deputy Minister, Prime Minister. Oh, I guess the voters will decide next time. Try not to be political, Michael. Behave yourself. Okay, so the other big news this week, historical sexual abuse. Yesterday it came out in the paper that the Western Bulldogs Football Club have to pay $5.9 million to Adam Neal for historical sexual abuse that goes back to 1983. Now, in Spy Curious, our Friday Australian Security Academy student programs, we have a presentation on historical sexual abuse and how to investigate it and how it's done and all that sort of thing. And what the abusers do is they isolate the person by themselves, they abuse them, and then they make the person think it was their fault. Now, we had last year in Victoria 3 unqualified people without a certificate 4 in training and assessment, without a certificate 3 in investigative services, try and start a training program for surveillance investigators on behalf of the most complained about private investigator in Victoria for sexual assault. And we stopped it. Now, do you think that was well received? No, it wasn't. But it stopped, and it's forever interrupted, and he can't do it again. Right? So he cannot come back and do it again. Now, the guy that did this abuse, he can't do it again either because he's dead. So they've appealed it, and he hasn't got his money yet. He's been awarded it by the court, and there's going to be a big argument through the COA. Now, COA in Victoria is what they call the Court of Appeal, and that's going to take another 2 years, like this one would have gone on for 3 years. And so historical sexual abuse, it's always isolation. Get them in the back of the surveillance and just you and them. Your word against theirs. It's a perfect con artist sexual abuse situation. To do it 6 times, it's a pattern. Can't do it again. All right. So that's big news down in Victoria. Now, what that does is sends the message that if you're a sporting organisation, your school, your church, whatever allows it to happen, you're up for almost $6 million as a precedent. So his award was basically $3.25 million for his pain and suffering, $2.8 million for loss of earnings, and $87,000 for medical costs. He was a child raped by a grown man, right? Totally by surprise. He was there because he wanted to be a water boy for the doggies for his footy club. That's what he wanted to do. That's what the abuser down in Victoria, oh, you want to be a surveillance operative? Don't pay any attention to those courses. They're all crap. Come out in the car with me and do it my way. That's what they do. And they sell you on this big dream. Then the next minute, no, you're alone, isolated, and you're burning bills. That's how it goes. Okay, so moving right on. So that was a big development yesterday in relation to footy. It won't be the only footy club. It won't be the only netball club, hockey club. Doesn't matter what it is. They're all on notice now, so that's really important. Now, this one has come out again. We've frequently had it in this program. So what's going on is Ultratune boss Sean Buckley used to fight claims he assaulted bikini model ex-Jennifer Cruz Cole. Now, Sean and Jennifer have featured regularly on this program because Ultratune have had the most complained about advertisements for the Australian Media Communications Authority on television. And we've shown you the results of those complaints and how they went about because of sexism and nudity and whatever else. And we explained all how that worked and how the Australian Media Communication Authority, as government investigators, investigated it. Now, Sean on our left and Jennifer in the high vis on the right are in court, and they're arguing over a recording that Jennifer made of Sean attacking her at the Crown Plaza Hotel in a room there with her phone. So she recorded the conversation of him abusing her and her actually begging for him to stop because he was physically assaulting her, apparently. So what they don't know and what the argument is can that recording be admissible? Now, frequently on this program, in other sessions and in Investigations Uni next week, Pat Flynn will talk about recording conversations and the legality of it down in Victoria. Now, I'm of the personal opinion that she had the right to do it. She was party to the conversation, and that's how it goes in Victoria. And also, there is case law that Pat Flynn will talk about and was spoken about on this program that protects the person that makes the recordings in those instances. So that's something to look forward to next week on Investigations Uni. So people, we also had a little bit of a reflection this week with Andy Chambers, and we've had a bit of a revisit just because Christmas is coming up of his book. Let's have a look at Andy Chambers from Melbourne, Victoria, The Blind Investigator.
There's Andy. So, problem solved. True stories from a blind private eye. The Kindle version is even available today. So it's out now. You can get it in your hand and read all about the adventures of Andy. So $29.99. You can see the details there. If this goes too fast for you people, watch the replay tomorrow and you'll be able to get your hands on Andy's book just in time for a nice relaxing summertime read at the beach or at the pool or wherever you go. So great news this week that's out, isn't it, Casey?
It is fantastic. I can't wait to get my copy. I pre-ordered it, so it should be on its way.
Won't be far away. Very excited. Andy rang me on Wednesday and also to tell me that the Kindle version is there as well. So that's really great news coming out of the investigation industry this week. Yeah, you can read the book while you fly fishing.
So that's a revisit on Andy. Another thing that people are asking me is, should I get a professional resume made up when I'm applying for work? Do I have to have a resume? I think Andrew Baldock covered that in one of our presentations earlier in the year on this program.
You need to make sure you have a current resume and present yourself properly, tie, suit, whatever, when you go out to see those companies. The reason being is when you present yourself to these companies, they look at you and the way you present to them is the way they believe you're going to present to their clients.
Makes perfect sense, doesn't it? So you don't have to spend $3,000 getting a resume made up, but make it interesting. So what happened in Andy's experience was a very competitive investigation market at the time. And there was one thing that he put in there that he had experience with in relation to psychological and psychiatric injuries. So when he put it on his resume and the employer read it out of the blue one day, have a look at what happened.
There's Andy.
That didn't happen.
I remember when I first started that, I wasn't overly confident. I was lucky enough that I had some other skills behind me that I was able to transfer, such as I was a psychiatric nurse for 10 years before him. So I was able to turn around and take that with me. And I found a bit of a niche for mental health claims and things like that. I actually remember driving back from country Victoria. I had a 3-hour drive and I got a phone call out of the blue and asked about my experience and background. And as soon as they heard I had done psychiatric nursing, bang, that was it. They wanted me to always mental health claims. So things like that. Also, I think when I look at it now, you've got to be persistent. There's companies out there that are going to want to give people, a go.
So that was Andrew's experience. And a lot of people ask me, how long do people last in this field? Once had a student, she's now an Australian Security Academy instructor, back in 2009. So we're talking 14 years ago. She was in my class in Victoria, and I was a bit concerned because she used to laugh at all my jokes and think they were funny. And I thought, she's got to be smoking something before she comes to class. But hey, she just had a good sense of humour. Let's see what she said.
And in 2009, when I was sort of ready to start my little business, when I could, I started, and I've never looked back. I never had to do any other job since, basically, and it's giving me a very good income. And I've never, it's actually an exciting job because every job's different, and I think it's what people need to look at. You might get plenty of back injuries, neck injuries, you might get psychological injuries. However, they're all going to be different, and that's the most exciting part of this job.
So that's straight from the horse's mouth. Christine's experience from class in 2009 to this day in 2023. ChatGPT, it's great, isn't it? Keep using it. I love it. That's wasting a lot of my time. Thanks, Michelle. Yeah, my word, use it. Take advantage of it. There's just so it's evolving on an hourly basis of what they can do, and it doesn't cost much or anything, or it's being added to programs that you've already got, like Canva or some of the other similar programs. Great tip, Michelle. Really, really great idea. Thank you very much. People, that's our show for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget those job vacancies. They're genuine. M&A investigations. They want you to work for them in Brisbane and in Sydney. And they want you at Investigative Services Group in New South Wales to conduct factual investigation. If you're on the Gold Coast, get in touch with the Justice Corp. It's a great place to work. Don't miss out on it. And if ProCare wants you in Adelaide, where it's 40 degrees and Chris is drinking ice water instead of coffee today. So that's a really big turn up in Australian Investigation Weekly News. Beware of those scams, people. Monitor those historical sexual abuse claims. Keep your eye on this for recording conversations. It's going to be interesting to you as an investigator and the outcome for that. Really interesting to see what happens there. My pleasure. Joy, see you next week. Thanks for your comments, people. Thanks for the tip, Michelle, and thanks for having fun. Evan, I know where you live. Oh, that's it. Thanks for checking into the updates of what's been happening, everyone. See you next week. I'm Mike Evans from the Australian Security Academy. You know how I go out each week.
작전 종료. 전원 복귀할 것.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Colin. Thanks, Craig. See you next week, Claire. Enjoy that 30 degrees. Casey will be back. She's just got end of the year school mother stuff and busy. She'll be back next week, I'm sure. She was sick last week, just unlucky. And you won't have to listen to me all the time. Thanks, Michelle. Thanks, everybody. Catch you next week. See you then. I'm Mike Evans from the Australian Security Academy. Look forward to seeing you next week.